Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Footy Casuals. It's been a while, we've been gone, but it's great to be back. Hello, Brian, how have you been?
I have actually been very busy, shocker, but now everything's gone. For those of you who don't know, I was in college getting my bachelor's degree and I finally graduated. So I'm finally free for a little bit at least. Summertime, I'm kind of excited because it gives me a lot of time to just chill and maybe, hopefully, get to record a lot of episodes.
Yeah,
But yeah,
man.
been very, very busy. But how about you?
I've been busy myself, but one thing that I said that even I've been busy myself, but even if I had downtime, it just wouldn't be the same without you here, Brian. So obviously, we just held out for a bit, and then we're back. But yeah, like Brian said, he has officially graduated from uni. So congratulations to Brian on his success, on his degree. The man has worked crazy hard to the point where the man, all he had time for it was to load up FC points every week, and that was all.
No,
I'm just
no,
kidding. I'm
stop.
not trying to get this
Literally,
man canceled right now during the boycott EA movement.
that's funny, but yeah, for those of you who don't know, I also work another job, so
My
that's
guy
why
was
I'm like
busy.
I was very, very busy. Literally had zero life, but I'm back. It's all over, and now we get to
It's
focus on the
all
pod.
done exactly. But yeah, so we are back. That's where we've been. A lot of crazy stuff has happened this season, which is crazy. But I mean, it happens. We have your seasons where nothing happens, and then you have your seasons where everything happens. So it's been
Yeah.
interesting. So
And
actually, oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was gonna say, I was like, yeah, and through this time that we've been gone, basically almost all leagues are complete, and we have seen a lot of the winners, which we will get to in a future episode. But we
Yes.
also missed, and what we're currently still going through towards the end of the Champions League. So a lot of stuff has happened, and we will get to it all. But a lot has happened.
Yes, exactly what he said. A ton of stuff has happened. We have so much. We could be here forever. We're gonna ease into it with the UCL. The UCL is always a big one for next year. For every year, this is the last year where they have the group stages. So a lot of interesting developments happen this time around. But yeah, we do know the winners of some. We gotta go through and see our reactions. We gotta serve ourselves up some L's for some of our takes and some dubs for some of our
Literally.
takes. But yeah, so we will get to that soon. The only leagues I think that are not done yet is the Serie A. Every other league, oh well, La Liga is done, but everything's set. The top four is
Yeah.
set, and the bottom three are set. Oh, I think all that's left is I think there's like a team or two. I think Sociedad, Betis, and Villarreal are fighting for like one of those three spots for the Europa
Yeah.
and Conference. But other than that, everything's set in stone. But everybody else is pretty much done. So but the Serie A one, there's a lot of stuff that can happen with that one. So that one
Yeah.
actually might be worth waiting on
Literally, and that one can actually have a lot of implications
for
on the
next season.
European competitions for next year, which is
Yep.
going to be very interesting. It's going to be very
Yes.
interesting.
Yes, it is. But yeah. But further ado. So first of all, before we start this, we had recorded this episode us reacting to the table like back in December, but we just both got really busy, and then I never uploaded it, and it just got really outdated. And I'm like, I'm not gonna upload this like a month later,
Yeah,
so I just never put it up, sadly. But basically, we went through our tallies, and the way me and Brian did it was we awarded 1 point for getting, like, let's say you put someone to go through but you didn't get the spot right, you'd get a point, but if you nailed it
yeah,
head on, you'd get 2 points. So it was very close. Brian edged me out by 1 point. He got 38, I
no
got
shocker there.
37.
No
Yeah,
shocker there.
so
My
Brian took
business
that
skills
one.
are very on point.
Hey, I'll give you now. What happened was Copenhagen literally got you that dub because no one thought Copenhagen was gonna be second. Everyone was thinking
Literally,
Bayern. It was gonna be Bayern, Man U, and then Galatasaray, and then Copenhagen last. But I thought I'd mix it up a little bit because I know how much clowns United are, you know. So I was like, you know what, let me mix things up, but I didn't mix things up in the correct order because I put Galatasaray second and United third, and then Copenhagen last, so I didn't get anything there. And then Brian got the Galatasaray on the nail, so he got the 2 points. That literally was a deciding factor, literally on that one. But
And the funny thing is that like with my guesses, I was literally either like completely like spot on or completely like off, like completely.
yeah,
Like everything I got was either like the people landed perfectly into those places or they were like nowhere near. So and then versus yours, they were kind of all just like some were hits, some were misses. Mine were just
yeah,
like it's either all hits or all misses, which is really
exactly.
funny.
But yeah, the group stage, obviously, Man United is gonna Man United, and they got bottom. They were knocked out. Pretty crazy. Copenhagen, everybody loves the Cinderella story. They didn't make it very far, but it was very exciting to see them get second. United. I mean, I'm not surprised. I know I'm like a casual Liverpool supporter, but I know like the Man United hatred is there, but they're just awful. So
Yeah.
I'm not shocked by the fourth place spot. I just gave them a little more credit than I thought that they would do. So but
Yeah,
yeah,
and at this time they were on a very, very downward spiral. I mean, I guess you can say
they
now it
kind of
never
still
really
are.
changed, but yeah, like at that moment it was like peak, peak rock bottom, and they're literally still like hitting the bottom. But I mean, they're gonna Man
They-
United gonna be who they are.
exactly. But yeah, so that's that. And then for Group B, everybody knew Arsenal was gonna go through kind of.
Yeah,
Lons, it was up in the air between like Lons and PSV. Sevilla was very underwhelming. The same thing. It's so funny because they did this the year that they won the Europa League. They underperformed
yeah,
heavily all season long in the league, but they pulled it back by winning the Europa League and making it to the UCL. But this year their luck kind of ran out because they didn't get
yeah,
UCL, Europa League, and they got their act together too late and didn't even make any European competition. So they were unlucky this time. So it happens.
yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, in that group, I feel like I expected a little bit more from Sevilla, but I mean, they turned out like literally horrible.
Yeah, they were
Like
doing really
literally
bad at
could have
this
had one of
point.
the worst. Yeah, they could have had one of the worst like moments in the table. But
At this point, I think they were in the relegation zone. Honestly, in La Liga, if I'm
yeah,
not wrong, they were doing really bad. And
and
I
I think
was like,
that's one thing
man,
that me and you were talking about at the time that we kind of felt that it was crazy that they were good doing that bad.
yeah, especially since they
But
got back Sergio Ramos, whom his
yeah,
boyhood club in Sevilla. I mean, he still kind of got it. He still got it. I watched
yeah,
all the Real Madrid games. Every game that Sevilla played Madrid, Sergio Ramos was playing like prime Sergio Ramos, and I'm like, my guy, you're not supposed to play like that. But so I feel like he still got it. They just had some rough patches. They're doing a little better now, but we'll see. We'll probably see them next season. The following season we'll probably see them in the higher tables, but
yeah,
yeah. Now for Group C, this one was kind of pretty obvious. I mean,
yeah. There was no shockers in this one. Yeah,
nah,
Real
yeah,
Madrid was taking it, and we knew Napoli would probably go second.
yeah, exactly. The last one that was up in the air was the Braga, the Union Berlin. Union Berlin were a little unlucky. They had
Yeah,
some games because I think they were winning against Braga in one of these games, and I think they tied it at like
yeah,
last minute in one of these games. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. They either tied it last minute or they lost it last minute. And Union Berlin just had a lot of unlucky games go their way, and they kind of fell off a little bit because the UCL. Usually that's what happens when like one of these smaller clubs make the UCL. They make a great run in the
yeah,
league, and they kind of can't compete with both with the lack of squad depth, and that's kind of what happened with them, sadly.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
feel like
yeah,
the next group, I feel like that was actually one of the more interesting ones, like shockingly, because I can like a testament for this one. I thought Benfica was gonna get first, and they ended up like
they got third
literally
last day.
every game. These guys were like, when I tell you, these guys were like dreadful from the start. I think like their first game consisted of a red card, and whenever that happened and they lost, I was like, yeah, this is over. Like there is no way they're gonna end up first. And they ended up literally being in fourth place the whole entire time until the last game when they were able to go into third. And then like Inter too. At that moment, I kind of thought they were gonna go first, but hey, you were kind of spot on, and you said the La Liga was always dominant in these competitions, and it turns out that they are.
I know, but I guess I didn't have enough faith in Sociedad, and I put Inter first. I just didn't think they had it in them, you know. But if you look at it, Sociedad started off hot, and they faded really quick. You know, like they were looking like
Yeah,
they would get a UCL spot next season, but they faded really quickly. Like they fell off, and then after this, they weren't the same. Come knockouts, and then in the league, their form kind of suffered. So they did good, but then they didn't end off the best. But and then Inter actually after this result, I think they ended up doing better in the league themselves.
yeah.
And
And if
yeah,
I'm mistaken, I feel like this table was pretty close up until the end. I'm pretty sure they were literally like fighting for first and second. Well, like
they were
obviously
pretty
Benfica and
much
Salzburg were obviously like out, but they were fighting for first and second, pretty much going back and forth.
for the most part, yeah, honestly. But yeah, that Benfica one was crazy. They literally won. They literally pulled it off at the last second. I think it was like the last. It was the extra time. They were playing
Yeah,
Salzburg, and they needed one more goal for the goal difference to go in their favor, and they got it, which is
yeah.
crazy. But then they went down to the Europa League, and they did nothing. So
And
it wasn't a
they
good
did
season for
literally
Benfica.
nothing.
What's that?
I was like, yeah, and they literally did nothing over there. Like that's, and then even then, whenever they went to the Europa League, I low key thought, like, still in the back of my head, I was like, you know what? They'll turn it around, and maybe they can even win the Europa League. And nope, just for them to do the exact same thing they did in the Champions League and the Europa League. It was I think it was just a bad, rough patch for them.
Yeah, it was a bad season for Benfica this year. They really fell off on crazy enough,
Yeah,
but I feel like they always qualify for the Champions League knockout stage. So it was a surprise that they got knocked
yeah,
out of the UCL so soon. But yeah, and then for Group E, I I have this I have the habit of I put too much stock in my Mexican players or the teams that I
you
support.
do put too much stock in it,
I
and you
know.
never learned your lesson, but you need to learn your lesson.
Don't worry. When we get to the La Liga one, I you'll see. I took some L's from that one, but
Yeah,
because of that, but I mean to be fair, it wasn't that crazy because last year in the Europa League, Feyenoord beat Lazio or like they got the better of them twice, so I thought they could have done
yeah,
it, but they had bad streaks of games. They had a game against Lazio that they should have won, and then it just it just didn't turn out for them. You know, it wasn't for them. They didn't have the best season. I know that they won a cup, but they weren't good either in the Europa League, and it just wasn't
yeah.
it. Yeah, but Atletico and Lazio going through not so crazy, honestly.
Yeah, I think this is one where I literally had like spot on. Like it was very obvious that Atletico was gonna win this group, and then I thought it was gonna be pretty obvious that Lazio was gonna go second. But then you started having doubts, but I kind of had a feeling that Feyenoord just didn't have enough, and obviously, for Celtic, they were never gonna win anything. They were going to
No,
be bottom of the barrel in this group, unfortunately
they
for them.
they pulled out a win at the end. I think it was
Yeah,
against
which is
Feyenoord.
actually which is actually surprising, and I think that's what ended up costing Feyenoord. Like
Nah,
just whenever
it
they were
was already
getting
done.
close.
I think at the end of the
Yeah,
last game, but yeah.
but then that brings up the group of death. And who
Ooh,
would have thought that at the very top you would see Dortmund? Because I can tell you for a matter of fact, it was not like that's a last place.
yeah.
But I do want to shout out my smartness. I told you Newcastle was gonna be fourth, and you
It
decided to
was
disagree.
a
But I told you.
the last day. All these guys were swapping places. At one point,
Yeah,
everyone was everywhere. At one point, Newcastle was first. Newcastle was second. Newcastle was third.
yeah,
There was so much movement in this last day. It was crazy. One moment this team is knocked out completely. Next moment they're playing UCL. Next moment they're playing Europa League. This group was literally. This was the last group of death. It literally didn't adjust this. It was crazy. It went down to the
yeah.
last game, and it could have been anyone. So I'm gonna give Newcastle some
Literally.
more props because it was close, man. They were so close, you know. And I feel like they had some unfortunate calls against PSG
Yeah,
in one of the games. So I feel like they should have went through, but they probably would
yeah,
have got knocked out either way right away in the Europa League if they went through or the Champions League because their
yeah.
form dipped so badly.
Yeah, but once again, these are why we appreciate the groups of death because they're literally always so back and forth. Like I can guarantee, I can tell you right now, that whenever I was tuning into these games, these are the ones that I was always locked onto my eyes. Like every single time I was watching one of these games, I was like, I have to pull up these instead because you always knew it was gonna be a fight. And like we said, who would have expected Dortmund to be first? Because I can tell you, I didn't.
I had
I
them
thought I had more
last.
faith in PSG, but like at the time, they were literally like
They were
looking so shaky.
trash.
Where I thought they were gonna be fourth. Like there was a second where I thought they were gonna be fourth. Then AC Milan too. I had a little bit higher expectations, but you know what? Like they ended up third, and that's just it's the craziness of the group of death. But hey, man, we appreciate it, and I'm kind of glad that it happened. I'm just very proud of myself for knowing that Newcastle wasn't gonna be wasn't gonna be top four.
Oh,
I
it
just
was close, man. It was
I'm telling you,
close.
at that moment, I just knew that they weren't gonna be able to handle like trying to stay up with a friend and then dealing with
Yeah.
the Champions League. But
I
it is
don't
what it
know.
is.
I feel like what's his name? I feel like Tonali's suspension really did them in because he was really like a big
Yeah,
piece for them, but unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. At the time, Dortmund was doing horrible in the league, so I was
they
like,
were
"There's
doing horrible.
no chance these guys make it through." But they pulled it out. They
Hey,
pulled
but
it
hey,
out.
man, that's one of the things about doing bad in the league. Whenever you can whenever you can take your focus off of something like that and put it towards something else, you're like, you know what, we're doing bad in the league, but it would all turn around if we do good in
The
the
Champions
UCL.
League,
So,
yeah,
literally, like it kind of even gives you like a little bit of push to do better, which hey, it's turned out for them, and we will get to that soon.
exactly. But yeah, and then this next group is very boring. Everyone predicted this group.
Yeah,
Um, all that happened was I got annoyed because there was a couple times where I think Young Boys,
yeah,
I think a lot of these games, City was what's the word I want to say? City was what was I gonna say? City was like trailing a lot of these
yeah. I
games,
was just
and then
about to
they'd pull it
say,
back. They would be down in the first half, and then they'd pull it back. So it was annoying seeing all these teams like like get a lead, and then it'd be for nothing. But everybody knew what the outcome of this group was
yeah, and
gonna
I
be.
think the thing that was more frustrating when watching these games was like you knew they were down by like two, but like
Yeah.
it was no sweat like loss. Like we all knew the outcome of the game, even if it was like against like Leipzig. Like there was no way they were gonna end up losing. They were literally always gonna win from the start. But I think what was sad was that Young Boys didn't perform because they could have gotten a bit of a second, but no. They wanted to lose, but no, I'm just kidding.
Oh
Yeah,
man, freaking
I
Young
just found it funny
Boys.
because I don't remember if we had Young Boys doing good or bad, but I think I had them
Nah.
bad.
We had them like it is now. There's no chance you would
Yeah,
change the lineup around, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, no. If you got this group wrong, then I don't know what to tell you, man, but there was no chance there
yeah,
was going to be anything else. But yeah. All right. So now moving into group H, and then this one, um it's funny because it came down close to the wire, but it was kind of frustrating. I mean, I don't want to be too biased, but I felt like Barcelona had
yeah,
some sketch calls playing against Porto that Porto should have got the result, and it just didn't look like it was gonna head that way. But yeah, but Barcelona Porto going through, I'm not shocked by that. I had them swapped, I'm pretty sure, but that didn't happen.
yeah,
Shakhtar, they got third. I was salty towards Royal Antwerp, but I don't care no more because none of my Mexicans play in that league anymore. But they ended up getting
yeah,
one win. I think the last game they got a win. I think.
yeah,
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 they almost ended up with nothing. Hey, they got some money because this league is based off you get money for wins and draws, so they got some money.
yeah. But I think this one was pretty basic. Like we kind of knew it was gonna be Barcelona, Porto, 1 and 2.
Shakhtar
I
almost
think
pulled it out, man. They almost
literally
did it.
they were like a game and a half away, but we at the end of the day we knew what was gonna happen. I mean, are we really gonna like were we really gonna have Shakhtar going through? And it could be one of those things because the UCL is very unpredictable. But like now that these two clubs are pretty big, like there was no way that they weren't gonna go through no matter what.
You
But I will
say that.
say,
You say that, but Shakhtar used to be them. They used to make every knockout stage, but not no more.
yeah, but I do agree with you. I feel like Barcelona and Porto they did get into some rough patches where Barcelona was getting a lot of like weird calls, and this is like I even had faith in Porto because I feel like these Portuguese clubs play very well in these competitions.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end, Barcelona's gonna Barcelona their way through, And Porto got second, but it didn't matter. Did not matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter honestly at all. But yeah. So that was the group stage. So let's move into the knockout stage. So first of all, what we'll do is we will say who we've had going through, and then we'll talk through the game. So I will go first, and then we'll have Brian go next. All right. So Inter Atletico, 100%. I have a little bit of Spanish bias. Atletico is annoying. Atletico is the only team that handed Real Madrid a loss in La Liga, so I would have went with Atletico for sure. They went through. So I was right about that. I would have been right about that one. Dortmund, PSV, no chance PSV gets past Dortmund. They're just not big of enough team to get through. So I would have got that one right as well. And then PSG, Sociedad. So at this point in time, Sociedad, I think their form had dipped drastically.
Yeah,
but
it dropped a lot.
I would have probably went Sociedad for the fact that they're La Liga and we don't mess around with PSG around these parts, you know. So I would have probably went Sociedad, and I would have been wrong there. And then the next one would have been Napoli, Barcelona, and my hatred would have had me go towards Napoli.
Yep,
my hatred. Okay, he also says my hatred would have went Napoli, but my head would have went Barcelona because Napoli they were so trash this year. They were so trash. There was no chance they were beating Barcelona. But obviously, my heart would have wanted Barcelona to get knocked out, but that didn't happen. All right, Porto, Arsenal. Porto almost knocked out Arsenal. That would have been hilarious. It would have been so close, but of course, I would have went Arsenal because I'm not gonna go Porto. Next one, we got Bayern and Lazio. Bayern, of course, super Bayern. You can't go against them. Lazio, I just didn't see them going through. I would have got that one right as well. Real Madrid, I'm not going against my boys in white. So, of course, I would have them.
Gone Red Bull for them?
No, sir. I wouldn't have gone Red Bulls at all.
Oh, my God, that's fine.
And then the last one, City and Copenhagen. Hey, Copenhagen scored 2 goals, man. Props to Copenhagen. Thank you for coming. You got some money out of this. We know we'll see you next year because your league pretty much is your league is pretty much a farmers league. So we'll see you next year in the UCL. Good season, man. That's one to be happy about. If you're a fan of this club, you are happy with this run. But yeah. So out of all these games, the only ones I would have gotten wrong is the Sociedad one and the Napoli one. But other than that, the rest would have been pretty much right on my hand, on my side. But go ahead, Brian.
All right. So with mine, I think I would have started off right away with Inter and with Atletico. I actually would have gone Inter at this moment stage. I didn't really have that much faith. Well, I knew it was a toss-up because both these teams are really, really good. But I kind of had a little bit more faith with Inter, and based on how they had been performing prior, like last season and everything, I thought they would just continue their run, but it didn't really work out. Then with the next game, PSV, I never thought they had a chance against Dortmund, although like something crazy could have happened. I just never thought that they're pretty much a smaller club compared to Dortmund, so I kind of just knew that they always had that. Also, with the PSG and the Real Sociedad, I always had faith in Mbappito. I never would have thought that would have went. So that one, I'm actually gonna be like very honest. I actually, prior to like watching the UCL, I actually thought PSG was gonna go super far. But you know, I did think there was gonna be an end. But in that case, I did think PSG was gonna go through. With Barcelona and Napoli, once again, I do not have bias here. So I would have gone with Barcelona because I have the ball knowledge, big up. Like I knew it was gonna happen. There was no chance Napoli was gonna go through, and especially with their form at that time, their form was horrible, and they were even doing bad in the league, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was, and at this moment in time, it was all up for Barcelona. They were actually having like a little streak of runs, a little bit of wins.
They were undefeated for a good streak of games.
Yeah. But then we jumped to Arsenal and Porto, and this is actually one where like I was literal toss up. Like my heart wanted to go Porto, but my head wanted to go Arsenal because like I just knew it was pretty obvious. And until the very very end, Arsenal barely got a pull through.
Through pens, man. I'm pretty sure it was pens.
It was pens.
Yeah.
But I would have went Arsenal. But then the next game, Bayern Munich and Lazio, we all knew that Bayern Munich was gonna go through. So I don't even need to like tell you anything otherwise because I knew they were gonna go through. At this moment in stage, I thought Harry Kane was gonna get his first UCL, but or gonna win a UCL, his first trophy. But you know what? That changed very quickly.
Still waiting on that one.
Then we got to Real Madrid and Leipzig. We all knew that Real Madrid was gonna go through. This was never. This was literally the one that was like never gonna change. And for a second, they actually put up a little bit of a fight, giving me a little bit of hope. But you know what? The UCL demons are never gonna end. They're just gonna stick
Brian, why are you being a hater?
I'm not, but like it's just like you see the team that's always at the top, and you just want them to do bad. Like
I get
everybody knows
it.
that. Everybody knows that feeling, and we all know when it comes to the UCL, Real Madrid are like the three-headed dragon that everyone needs to slay to get there. So that's kind of just like the one team where it's like, you know what, it's like maybe if it ends, like, or maybe if they lose, like there will be a chance of something different. But then it would have went on to City, which we'll get to that now. Man City versus Copenhagen. We all knew Man City was gonna go through. So literally, what did it matter? Like, unless both of these teams lost, we would have had one of them probably winning.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's my predictions.
Yeah, so that's funny that you said, "Hey, I don't blame you." Look, I as a sports fan of the American sports leagues, um all Americans that don't like the Yankees hate the Yankees because they have all those championships. So I get it. Everybody hates Real Madrid because they have all these UCLs and they're tired of them winning it. They're tired of them winning it every year. This and that. I get it. But as a Real Madrid fan, I want to apologize to absolutely nobody.
It's literally all about like perspective. Like if you're a fan of Real Madrid, you're gonna be so happy and you're not gonna care. But then I was like, if you're any other person, you're gonna want them to lose. Same thing with like basketball. Is everyone hates the Lakers because they have so many championships. Like it's the same thing in every single sport. There's gonna be that one team
that has more than everything.
Successful that has a lot of hatred behind it because of the success, but they earned it. So gotta give them props.
Exactly. But yeah, so moving on to the quarterfinals. And first one, Atletico and Dortmund. I did not have Dortmund going through. I would have went Atletico 100%. It was crazy. Hey, they almost pulled it back, but Dortmund pulled it out of the bag. You know, it was very close, but they pulled it out. It was looking like Atletico was going to make the comeback and go through, but Dortmund held their ground and they won it. So, I was wrong. I would have been wrong on that one. And then this next one, I hate me some PSG and I hate me some Barcelona. But you know what? My hatred is strongest. My hatred is always strongest to Barcelona. So I was here for that pack watch. You best believe we was smoking on that Barca pack. Especially with that Ousmane Dembele smoking on that pack as well, man. So oh, it was hilarious. Oh, it was such a great leg. The banters, the back and forth. Dembele pretty much awoke for this leg, and then he went back to sleep because he didn't have the craziest season in Ligue 1, but he turned up against his former team, and he looked like he was enjoying it. But I had PSG. Yeah. I didn't know if they could do it, but they did it. All thanks to Araujo's stupidity there by causing that red card which lost in the game. If Araujo doesn't do that, Barcelona goes through 100%. 100%.
Literally.
But yeah.
And potentially have a Clasico in the final.
Yeah. The first time I think that would have ever happened, but he threw it. So all you Barca fans, you have your scapegoat.
It's the UCL for a reason.
Exactly. Exactly. The nerves got to him and he didn't know what to do and he chopped them down and that was that. But yeah, so I would have got that one right. And then Arsenal and Bayern. So I would have wanted Arsenal to go through because Arsenal's fans were talking so much crap about how give us Real Madrid, because all of 2 seasons of competing but not winning anything has made them really cocky, thinking they can take down anybody, anyone and anybody. So I was like, yeah, give us Arsenal so we can give them a good whooping so they can see what they got going on. I saw so many combined 11s and most of them would be Arsenal players, and I'm like, there's no chance where you think that majority of Arsenal's team is better than Real Madrid's team.
Yeah.
Unbiasedly, there's no chance. There's no chance. So I was kind of hoping for that, but I would have went Bayern regardless. I didn't think it would have been so close, honestly. But that's because Bayern's form has been kind of up and down all season. All thanks to Brian's former favorite manager, Mr. Tuchel.
You gotta love that guy. Hey, he's gonna come back to Chelsea. And we're gonna go down the Drake.
Yeah, you guys are going down to the championship. There you go. Maybe you guys can win that championship, the championship. But yeah, that's for another one. So Brian will be back to cry about his woes in another video because we have a lot to talk about that one. But yeah, I would have went Bayern. They went through. I would have been right on that one. And then lastly, of course, I'm not gonna not back my boys in white. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very nervous. City is the only team that I would be worried to be facing in this tournament period. They are the ones that are hard to break down, they're hard to beat. So I was very nervous for the whole thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know what was gonna happen. It just was very close. But and then going into pens, and I don't know, Real Madrid don't have the best track record when it comes to pens in the UCL. I still have nightmares to that freaking penalty shootout against Bayern in 2013. So that's just me, but they got through, so I'm happy about that. And so Brian, your takes on your quarterfinal picks.
Okay, so with my first of the quarterfinal with Dortmund and with Atletico, surprisingly, I would have had Dortmund going through just because I prefer Dortmund over Atletico. Like, this is literally could have seen anything happening, but just because I like Dortmund a little bit more and they had some of my U.S. representatives, I would have gone with Dortmund. But that one would have gone a little bit based off of bias. But then with PSG and Barcelona, oh my God! When I tell you this game actually like pissed me off. This is one of the games that genuinely got me mad because I would have had Barcelona going through, and they would have gone through if it wasn't for the stupidity of Araujo and his poor decision making whenever trying to slide tackle somebody. Like how, like at that moment, I was actually so mad because if he does not slide, like we mentioned earlier, they win that game. And they would probably be in the final. And they would probably have the best chance against either City or Real Madrid. But what did they do? They lost. And we could thank Mbappito for that because he decided he wanted to do Mbappito stuff all of a sudden when they were down to 10 men. So gotta hate him for that. But yeah, I would have had Barcelona going through. Then with Arsenal and with Bayern Munich, shocker, I actually would have had
Arsenal?
Bayern Munich going through.
Oh.
No, actually, I would have had Bayern Munich going through.
Oh, okay.
But with a lot of confidence. I didn't think this was going to be close. I thought it was going to be like a blowout.
Like last time?
Yeah, literally. I thought this was going to be a blowout, and I thought it was going to be close because I thought this was when my heart was all Harry Kane going to win his first trophy. I had it in my heart. I knew this was going to happen, but we'll get to that soon. Real Madrid and Man City. I'm not being biased. I swear. I had Man City going through, and I'll tell you why.
That's fine.
Because they literally had the confidence from last year. You're already the champ, so you're trying to do the double, and they're also doing very good in the league. So then, whenever I came, or like whenever this game was happening and the first leg happened, I was like, you know what? I was like, this is like the best case scenario. They're like drawn, and they're gonna go to the second game. And then once like this is before though, like I still had Man City going through. If it's not for Man City and their missed chances, like when I tell you these guys missed like a good 40 opportunities, like they should have won this game. And I'm not saying that in any biased way. There was even
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
Should have literally won the game, but if it wasn't because of all the sitters that they missed in this game, like that's literally what cost them. They had so many sitters, like back to back sitters, even in like extra time.
Oh yeah.
I've never once seen Real Madrid looked defeated once in my life. But they literally looked like they had not one little bit of heart left. Like they looked like they were literally done. They looked dead, tired. Like they literally had nothing left in the tank. But what did they do? They ended up winning in pens. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. That's funny because man, when they scored that equalizer, I'm like, it's done, it's over, there's no chance. And then KDB missed the most clear sitter of all time, and they
Yeah.
just couldn't score nothing, and I was just shocked, man. But
And I'm
I
pretty
don't know
sure
how
Foden missed like two or three sitters too. Like
they
I'm not
all
gonna
kind
lie.
of did, honestly. But it
Yeah.
was crazy. I just couldn't believe it. But I thought for sure
I
we were
think
gonna
one of the
lose.
I think one of the crazier things that happened in this game was that actually Holland got benched for Alvarez because literally
He was
dude
getting
was like
pocketed by
nothing.
Rudiger.
This dude, when I tell you, he did not do anything that entire game. My man was literally like taken completely out of the picture, so they had to sub in Julian Alvarez. And that was like that itself was crazy. And when I remember whenever it happened, everybody was just like, "Oh my god!" Like did Pep really just sub out Holland like in this big game? But like at that point, like you couldn't even blame him. Dude was literally a ghost. He was not there, which was crazy. But I personally did would have had Man City going through just because of like the possession that they have and how aggressive they play. And I just thought like at that time I was just like, you know what? I was like, there's no way like Madrid will like they will make it. They obviously will keep it close. But I was just like, you know what? I was like, I feel like they're younger. That like they play with a little bit more like risk. So then I was like, you know what? I was like, they'll bang in a couple goals and they'll probably just. But it didn't happen that way.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting one, but I'm happy Real Madrid went through. So
Yeah, but that
it
I
was a
will
close
give
one.
it to you. That was one of the best rounds like I think I've ever witnessed. Like there was
Yeah.
like the from the first game, the amount of like screamers that were had literally was like back to back screamers. Like you would see Valverde score a screamer, then you would see like I forgot who else scored the other screamer from
KDB, I
I think
think.
it was Foden.
Oh, Foden.
Yeah, somebody like that. But yeah, they were
Yeah.
literally like trading goals. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but yeah. So moving on to the semi, so we got Dortmund and PSG. I'm sorry, Dortmund fans, Germany
Yeah,
fans, Bundesliga fans. I not to say I don't rate you guys besides
yeah,
Bayern, but I would have went with PSG. I thought for sure it was gonna be PSG and Real Madrid in the final, and it was gonna be
yeah,
Mbappe versus his next team versus it just
yeah,
looked like it was gonna be set in stone, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
yeah.
Everyone either thought it was gonna be a Dortmund Bayern final, a repeat of the 2013 final, which Bayern won, or it was gonna be
Yeah,
Real Madrid PSG, the battle of Mbappe. But I don't think anybody saw PFP. I was like Dortmund and Real Madrid in the
yeah,
final. I don't think they saw that one coming to
yeah,
fruition. But yeah, I would have went PSG, and PSG obviously they got destroyed, man. They could not
yeah,
respond. They didn't do nothing. Dortmund
literally.
played a good game. They held them at bay, and then they got through. Props to Dortmund. They haven't
Yeah,
been here in over 11 years. This is also Marco Reus's last season at the club, so if they win this, it'd be huge for him. And I know every non Real Madrid fan is rooting for
yeah,
Dortmund for this final. And now obviously I'm getting ahead of myself, but uh, not Dortmund, Bayern and Real Madrid. Of course, I'm gonna root for my boys. So
yeah.
we'll talk about the controversy after Brian picks his picks, but yeah, we'll get into it
Yeah.
after he picks his picks. But go ahead, Brian.
Okay, so with my picks, I once again, I also did not have Dortmund going through. I'm sorry. I thought Mbappe was gonna be Mbappe and he was gonna pull out a performance just like the World Cup where dude seems invincible. But I've once again I will say I have never seen somebody disappear so much from a tournament either. I think this UCL, like Mbappe was like literally nowhere to be found. Like yes, he did score a couple goals against Barcelona, but it was like
After they were
I
down to
was
10
targeting
men,
him
though.
as yeah, because they were literally like put in shambles. So like obviously he was gonna cook at some point. Like if he didn't, then I would literally be worried. But like he's always known for putting up these big performances in these big moments. But literally this whole UCL, I think that dude was like a ghost. Like if anything, Dembele was the one like kind of
Yep.
pushing them through and like getting them like all these goal scoring opportunities. But like I have never like seen a game and just like not heard Mbappe, like from PSG.
Yeah.
But that's what it looked like. It looked like they had no attack. It looked like they were like literally in shambles. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to respond. And props to Dortmund, like we said. I mean, they had the answers and they were like very confident in their play. They knew eventually they were gonna have to sit back, and they did, and it worked. So props to them. But then with Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, once again, had the faith in Harry Kane, but no, I knew this game was gonna be Real Madrid. Like there was no chance they were gonna win. And this is when I knew it was all over for my boy Harry Kane. I knew he was not gonna win no trophies when this happened. But you know what? Like in my heart, it was still there, but it was pretty obvious Real Madrid was gonna win. However, it was pretty close. I will give it to them. They did put up somewhat of a fight, but hey, man, it happens.
Yeah. I'm not lying to you. Bayern don't really scare me anymore. But that's because Real Madrid have been like beating them the last couple of years. For the last decade,
Yeah.
Real Madrid's been like pretty much winning every single like battle versus Bayern. But Bayern used to be like City, man. They used to make me worry. And then it's funny because they would get drawn with Bayern every year back in the day, and then they'd get through.
Yeah.
But that's just how it was. So
So now we get to talk about how Real Madrid robbed Bayern.
so. All right, so first of
I'll let you
all,
talk about it from your
is
perspective.
I want to lie to you. I was pissed because I'm like, they're gonna steal the effort that they put in to win this on this run, and they're gonna say corruption and this. Because when you're a fan, you're happy. You're like, I don't care. Say what you want to say. We're
Yeah.
through. We won. It's done. But you don't want to win that way because then everyone's saying all these things, and they're gonna like
Yeah.
they're gonna take it away. They're gonna like they're not gonna say as it's not as important or is it gonna matter. So I was pissed. I'm like they're gonna say all this shit about us and whatnot. They're not gonna take it
Yeah.
seriously. But so the point here I'm trying to make is the referee messed up, man. So he messed up on his own. I know so when I first saw the graph, I forgot. I didn't realize that the parts of your body, your arms, can't be considered towards offside because you can't use your arms. I didn't even know that because I was looking at it. I was like, he's onside because I can see Rudiger's arm stretched out, but I didn't realize that the arm isn't part of it because it makes sense. You can't use your arm, but it looked like just quite. They were offside, just barely, but they were offside. I know people were saying like that they didn't score, but I mean they had an effect in the play. They were dragging players out of position. They were tracking back, so they for sure. So I know Delit and Kim and Jay for sure were like like were there. So they had to call it because it's offsides because they were like part of the play. So to me. That for sure should have been offside, but the referee messed up by not letting it play out. Because if this plays out and Real Madrid stops his attack, it's not a problem because nobody scored. But okay, I know I saw reports of people saying like that the defenders didn't really stop. Lunin stopped. He just stood there. I'll give you that maybe some of the defenders still were like trying a little bit, but you're always told in this sport, play the whistle. Play the whistle. You're not supposed to play the ball. Play the whistle. I don't care if you say it's offside. I don't care if you say it's a handball. You play until the referee blows. And he blew right away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you might not like be at 100%, but I didn't say they stopped completely, but they weren't at 100%. And Lunin, he literally didn't even dive. He just stood there and did nothing. So, it's tough because the referee messed up, genuinely, because he should let the play build himself there. He should let it build before, like calling it, and then they could have checked it or whatever if they ended up scoring or not, or if Madrid stopped the attack. But it just makes them look shady and looks bad. But it's unfortunate. But in my opinion, they were offside when they blew. The referee messed up by blowing too soon. But it's just tough to know because Real Madrid they stopped playing, so we'll never know if it would have been a goal or not. 100%. It's just a bit difficult for that reason, but I just find it funny because these guys were supposed to be known as the best referees in the world because they ref the World Cup final, and then this happens, and now they probably lost a lot of respect for this one. But it's tough,
and
man.
this is once again one of those moments where we keep literally in every single sport where we keep having like these refs kind of dictating the results of games. And like, yes, it could have been like way worse. Like, obviously he was in the wrong, but like, it's just like you never want to have the ref dictating a game. Like, there's just so much that could happen. Like, you literally just never know. Like, if at best, it's best to always just let it play through. Like, literally, you play through, you watch it back. It wasn't a goal. Oh well, you turn it back. But if it was a goal, oh well, you let it play through. Now you know the result. Boom, like you have your result, and now you have all your credibility. But like, whenever you have these refs, kind of like dictating these games, it even ruins the credibility for the team. Like you're saying, like you don't want your team to win this way, and it discredits their win, like the way they were able to turn back a game and like flip it around. But like, I don't know, it just you there's literally like, once again, we just don't know how you fix the situation. Like how, like what more can you do? Like you literally brought the best refs to come and ref these games, and even they got it in shambles. Like what? Like what do we need to have like classes for these refs to take? Like do they need to pass like a certain thing? Like how do we get it to where it's fixed to where we can start avoiding these problems, because they're starting to get very annoying. Like in these big important games, we're just seeing a lot of them get dictated by refs, which is very very annoying.
Exactly, yes. Very frustrating in that sense that the referees need to be held accountable. I get that this guy's had good performances in the past, but he should let the
Yeah,
play out, especially since Real Madrid's winner with Joselu, they played it out and let it play,
yeah.
and they didn't do that here, so it looks bad. So, obviously,
And too, I believe there was also a moment in the game too where like, I think at the very, like, I think it was before half, where the ball had gone out of bounds, and like they kept, the ref played it through where like there was two balls on the pitch at the same time, where like Nabry and somebody else were like, I don't know if you remember, but they were both going for a ball, and then they turn around and realize that there's another ball on the pitch, and like Real Madrid almost scores, but Neuer has like some crazy save.
yeah.
Like even that got played through, and there was two balls on the pitch. Like I don't know, I just don't see no consistency here. Like either you do it all one and it's consistent, and we at least know like the decision making behind it, or like what. But you can't just be having it go both ways. Like I don't know, it's very tough.
Exactly. You gotta pick a side. You gotta pick a way. You either do it both teams or you
Yeah,
don't do it. So it's tough. It kind of sours it, because a lot of people were saying all this
yeah.
stuff, But I mean, it is what it is. I feel like it wasn't Real Madrid. It was for sure the referees' mistakes there. But
Yeah.
oh well.
But the
But
one thing too I will mention is this is what also brings the topic of like buying refs and everything. Like if we didn't have this, we wouldn't have that conversation. But thanks to like these dumb errors, this is why everyone thinks that like people buy refs and all this problem. And then we have that situation, which sucks. But I mean, I feel like at this moment, anyways, in time, Real Madrid had the momentum, so they would have won anyway.
yeah.
And props
Yeah.
to them, or props to Ancelotti bringing in Joselu, because that dude literally saved them.
Yeah. So actually, it wasn't even his call. So supposedly there's reports that his son was the one that gave him the idea to bring on Joselu, who literally made the difference
Mm,
there, which is crazy.
man,
Yeah,
props to
his
that guy.
yeah his son is crazy talented, and I know one day he's gonna be a great coach. Right now he's just under
Yeah,
Ancelotti, but he's done a lot of great things for the club itself, and but yeah, and it's funny because they literally got Jose Lu on a 500K loan for the 1.5 mil buy option, and remember they never properly replaced Benzema, and yet they
yeah,
still pulled it out, so it was pretty crazy, but they did it. They pulled it out against Super Bayern, and the final obviously is
yeah.
Dortmund versus Real Madrid. So, um,
Oh
I
man,
gotta
your
ride with my
predictions even though it's
boys.
pretty
I
obvious.
gotta ride with my boys for the 15th, man. We got
Yeah,
to do it. Oh man, we gotta have Jude win this Champions League. We gotta have all this stuff going down, but I'm excited. I'm not gonna say I'm a discount Dortmund here, but I'm gonna say that I'm
yeah,
gonna rule them out. But I don't know. I'm liking our chances at the moment. Just hope that they can pull it out and win it. But I feel like Madrid will pull it out. What do
yeah.
you think?
So unlike you, I will discount Bayern, or not Bayern,
Real Madrid.
Dortmund.
Oh, Dortmund.
No,
Okay.
that would discount Dortmund, and I hope I they end up like proving me wrong, but I doubt it. I'm just being a realist here. Like,
And that's
once
fine.
again, like how I said at the very beginning, whenever you have this three-headed dragon that's like always at the top and they know how to win, you've seen it in every single game that they've come back. Like you've seen it in the Man City game, you've seen it in the Bayern game. You literally just know how the outcome's always going to be. Once that one goal goes in, like you know what's going to happen. If they go down, you know what's going to happen. Like it's just they're just meant for this moment. They're meant for this stage. They know how it goes. They're all prepared for it. Meanwhile, like Bayern or I keep saying Bayern. Meanwhile, Dortmund, like they are having this run, but like I feel like if one or two goals go in, they're just gonna panic and it's gonna be over. And I don't have as much faith in them as like being here already and like having this moment. Like I feel like they're glad to be here, but like I very much think they could have lost a couple of games to like not be here. So it's just like I don't know. I just feel like it's just the obvious choice to go Madrid. I think we all feel that way. We think they're the better, bigger team. I don't think by the way that I don't think the way that Dortmund plays is like this crazy way that they're gonna put away Madrid unless they like park the bus. But even if they score and park the bus, we know Real Madrid's attack and like we know what they got, and they're doing all this without somebody like Mbappe, like which is crazy to even think about. So I obviously think Real Madrid are gonna win it, but I mean. For the lads, for Marco Royce, hopefully, Dortmund win, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I will be going for them. In my heart.
Yeah. A lot of people
And
are going for them.
also, my decision also goes a little bit in, like in contrast of Alfonso here. It's me being a relative here. You kind of always got to go for the opposition of your family member. You can never really side with them. Like that's just boring. You always got to hope for the opposite. So there is obviously a little bit of bias there too. I think it's pretty obvious that they're still gonna win anyways.
We'll see what happens in the final. I don't know, man. It's gonna be an interesting one, and obviously we're gonna get to La Liga one soon. But it's looking like Mbappe's joining this next summer, and Tony Cruz unfortunately is gonna retire at his prime.
He is going to retire, which is
I'm
actually
sad,
very
but yeah.
crazy. And I think, I'm not going to lie, I think this will rally them even more to win this year.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I hope they do it. It'd be great to see Tony Cruz go out like that. In my opinion, honestly, what I want to do is, um, I want Tony Cruz to win the Ballon d'Or. He's not going to, but
Yeah, he's not going to.
he's third as of now. He's third on the list. If they win the UCL and he contributes to it, gets man of the match, scores, assists, is all that good stuff, and then he wins the Euros with Germany, he has a chance. But I don't know if he will, but I think that'd be a great way of sending him off. I'm sad he's going. It ruined my day. I was very upset all day.
Yeah.
I just barely got over it. I barely got over it. And I don't know if I'll get over it, but I'm still upset about it. But it is what it is. We gotta just invest in the young guys and give them some chances and see how it goes. But
Yeah, but the sad thing is like he's going and there's literally no worry. Like you guys are literally set for forever.
I know, but he was a one of a kind of guy, man.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys where like you just kind of get sad because he was like such a legend for the club and like he was just always there and you kind of grew up with him too. Like
I did, man.
this
10
time, like,
years.
Yeah, we're at that age where like we're still kind of with them. So like when he was at Madrid, like you kind of grew up with him. Literally been there for 10 years. It's like 10 years of your life that he was always there, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, no, I remember when they first signed him after the World Cup when they won it, and I was excited. 25 million for Tony Cruz, the steal of a century. Bayern, to this day, I don't know what it is with these German people, but they're disrespecting him so much. Like, I don't know, like they let him go for so cheap because the upper heads at Bayern didn't value him and thought that he wasn't worth the money, and then he wanted to be on par with the other players, and obviously they didn't give him that, so they let him go for pretty much peanuts if you compare Tony Cruz to other players or what he could have been up to, but yeah, and Real Madrid got him, and then he's just been a club legend. I love the guy. He's
Yeah.
great. I'm sad to see him go, but I understand his reasoning. It's good to go out on top. You don't want people to say that you're
Yeah.
washed or that you fell off. So
You don't want them to diminish your career because of how things end.
exactly, he's not down to sit on the bench, or he doesn't want to ride the bench, and
Yeah.
he just doesn't want to deal with it. He doesn't just retire, and I respect him. I'll always respect someone that retires with their boyhood club or the club that they began their career with. I always think that's a good send off. But yeah,
At this moment in time, I'd like to shout out my boy Thiago Silva. Go back to your club and justice as
that's a
well.
good one right there. Yeah,
Legend for the club. And it's also sad to see him go, but I mean, age gets to you, and one of those things where it's just like, kind of, he's taking a different road than Tony Cruz. But I mean, at least you get to see him go back to his boyhood club, which is always awesome. Like, yes, he's not gonna go out at his peak, but you know what? Like, he's getting to do it where he started, now where he gets to end it there, which is great. And hopefully, he comes back to Chelsea for a role. I know he's mentioned that he really wants to come back and that he's gonna come back in a different role, because that dude literally brought like so much heart to the he literally brought like so much love to Chelsea, which was like amazing. And he's kind of one of those players too where even I fell in love with. He wasn't there for the longest, but it literally felt like he was there for forever. So
yeah,
that's when they make a really big impact when they're not there for that long, but they literally feel like they're there for ages. So shout out to him, and shout out to
yeah,
Tony Cruz for the legendary career
yeah.
that he had.
Exactly. Yeah, Brian's right. I think that's the perfect career right there. Start up your boyhood club, go out and conquer Europe one way or another. Go league to league to league. He played for some big clubs. I mean,
He did.
he played for AC Milan. He played for PSG, and then he played for Chelsea. So he played for some pretty big clubs. So he was everywhere. And he is ending it off by going back to his boyhood club. So I think that's a perfect way to end your career. He's not going like these other guys, the MLS
Yeah.
route or the Saudi league. He's doing it right, and I respect him for it. Thiago Silva used to be one of my favorite players back in the day. I always wanted him to go, to Real Madrid or something like that. He never did,
Yeah.
obviously. He was at PSG forever, and then when they didn't want him anymore, Chelsea scooped him up, and he's been there for the last couple of years. But I've always been a huge fan of Thiago Silva as a player himself. But yeah, so I'm sure he'll be there for another year or two because he's like pretty up in age. So I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll be there for one more year or
Yeah.
two, and then he's probably gonna hang up his boots. But yeah.
Shout out to him as well.
Shout out to him. Yeah, his what is it called? His farewell tour. His farewell tour.
Yeah.
His farewell tour in Brazil. So yeah, but yeah, that is our UCL breakdown, predictions, and all that good stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff coming up. We gotta go through all the stuff we went through, and then I want to do this thing with you, Brian. I don't want to do it before. I want to do a really a way too early param prediction for next season.
Yeah,
I want to do that. I want to do that like day zero. Like they're not even in preseason yet. And then as the season gets closer, we'll do a legit one.
Yeah,
I want to do that, and then we'll see if our takes age well or not. Like how we feel, like if we change anything. You're like, oh yeah, no, I'm changing this here to here. But there's a lot of stuff going on. We got the Copa America that's in the U.S., which is exciting. This is a big opportunity for these teams that normally wouldn't play in it. So we got to take advantage and hopefully try and win it. We got the Copa America. We got the Euros. And then afterwards we have the Olympics. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So our schedules are pretty much clear. So we should be back to bring you guys this here content. Like I said, we're gonna shoot for weekly podcasts. It just depends. It depends what happens or if we get busy or not. But the goal was always weekly, if not weekly, bi-weekly, and if not monthly. But yeah, we try. We do our best. But there's a lot of stuff going on. We got the transfer window also opening up. Mbappe. I mean, it's pretty much obvious he's going to Real Madrid. It'd be shocked if not.
Yeah.
But Mbappe
Shocker.
signing, yeah, right,
When he
shocker.
signs to Arsenal.
I mean, I would hope not. I mean, I've already seen the
Um,
clips where they asked him if he wants to go to Arsenal or
yeah.
Tottenham. He's like, it's impossible. It's impossible. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that joke where they asked him, they're like, yeah, that you're gonna go to Arsenal, and then he just said that no, basically. I was just like, dude, that's like the
Yeah.
most hilarious thing ever.
I know, right? Because usually they're like, oh, I don't know. But he was just straight up like, no.
We'll see where it turns
He
out.
was just straight up like, no. Like, no
Yeah.
chance, bro. No chance.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like I just said, all that, it'll probably keep us busy all summer long if we don't have anything going on. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And hopefully this time we can even pre-record some videos so we can post them out even if we don't get time.
exactly. There you go. That's the attitude. But yeah, thank you guys once again for tuning back into another podcast episode. We've been gone for a while, but we are back. And thank you for having us and listening to us once more. Once again, one last time before we head out, be sure, if you're on the YouTubes or anything, be sure to give Brian his congratulations. Congratulations once again to Brian for his
I
for
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
for
Appreciate
his
everybody.
uni graduation. And yeah, so it's only up from here, and then we'll see how everything goes. And but yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the next recording.
Up the blues.
Of the blues.